Hello and welcome back to yet another Saturday episode of Bobson Rants. Haha. While I play Team Fortress 2 very badly. So, what is it I want to talk about this week while I am playing on a beta map that has yet to be updated or even added to the real game yet? So, I'm not even sure why I'm playing it. But yeah, what do I want to talk about this week? Captain America, funnily enough. For those of you who don't know or haven't been paying attention or don't really care, I've been seeing a bunch of news stories on various news websites. Probably because those are the kind of things I usually click on, and their matching system usually has that kind of stuff pop up if you click on that kind of stuff. But yeah, apparently in the past week or so, a brand new issue of Captain America, brand new issue 1 of Captain America came out, and there was a huge plot twist, and everyone is pissed off about it. Everyone who's a fan of Captain America, the comic book fans and stuff. And the big reveal is that Captain America is, and always has been apparently, an agent of Hydra. Now, for those of you who don't know, who don't read the comics, or I'm sure you've probably at least seen one of the movies, or if you haven't seen the movies, Hydra is this splinter group from World War II Nazi regime. They are literally World War II Nazis that have survived through the decades and are the current incarnation of Nazis and are led by Red Skull, who is a World War II Nazi, unapologetic, and completely evil Nazi guy. So, yeah. In the latest issue of Captain America, it was revealed that he is a Nazi infiltrator, a Hydra agent who's been in deep cover, infiltrating America, being the hero and stuff like that. Apparently, always. Or at least that's the story they're going to go for. That's the story they're shooting for. That he's always been a Nazi infiltrator, a Hydra agent infiltrator. And it has people pissed off, unbelievably pissed off, which I think is the whole point of it, because Marvel kind of has this mentality of if they're not pissing people off, they're not doing their job, because it kind of works for them. In fact, one of the editors, I think it was, said point blank that whenever people are pissed off, sales go up. So yeah, I think that's the whole mentality behind this thing, that they wanted to piss people off and hopefully drive sales, get controversy going, get drama going, so people will buy this brand new Captain America comic. Now, I have no idea what to really say about this, because I haven't really been reading comics in years, but I still follow it every once in a while. I'll read 1 or 2 comics every once in a while. So I haven't been deep into comics. I know the basic overall arching storylines and like that, but I haven't really been into it. So I can't really give you a detailed layout of what exactly is going on. I have not read the comic myself, but I have seen countless posts, countless threads on various forums talking about this, raging about it. There's this huge Twitter campaign to get them to stop it or at least reverse it. Chris Evans, that's the name of the guy that plays him in the movies. I think he's actually pissed off about this too, because he likes the character. He's been playing the character for a few years, for a few movies, and he wants to keep it kind of kid-friendly and like that. So, understandably, he'd be pissed off if the character he's playing is actually a friggin' Nazi. So, yeah. And that's essentially what this plot twist has done. It has essentially taken Captain America, the pillar of moral and ethical standing in the Marvel Universe. He is the incorruptible character. He is the guy that cannot be corrupted. He is always there. He is always standing righteously for truth and justice and all that kind of stuff. Just like Superman. Superman in DC. He's just like the Marvel's version of Superman in that way. He is the incorruptible pillar of the superhero community. He's the one they look up to. He's the one they view as a leader and stuff like that. So having him turned and suddenly becoming a Hydra agent, suddenly becoming a Nazi, is both shocking and confusing and it's understandable why a lot of people are pissed off about it. So yeah. Now, the reality is they probably wanted to go down this route. The people writing it, the editors in charge of it, I'm not even sure they got permission to do this from Disney, who is the current owners of Marvel. Because there is a real problem with this, in that the character in their upcoming and, in fact, current movies with Civil War is now being associated with being a Nazi in the comic books. And Steve Rogers is now a Nazi in the comic books, so how does that affect the Marvel Comics universe as a whole for the movie universe? I mean, yeah, that's kind of a marketing problem for them, especially with the media frenzy. Well, I don't know if it's media frenzy, but at least social media frenzy surrounding this whole thing. And yeah, it's kind of a public relations nightmare for Marvel, and more so for Disney, who is a very kid-friendly kind of thing. And they're pushing the Avengers, they're pushing Captain America as a kid-friendly character, and suddenly he's a Nazi. So yeah, this is big, huge thing about it, and people are pissed off. It's basically the entire story there. But yeah, this is the kind of thing that happens a lot, though. I mean, not Captain America turning into a Nazi, but weird, strange plot twists in the comic books that just go off in a random direction and seem to be this massive thing that will be game-changing, that will completely shake up the status quo and change the universe forever. These kind of things happen a lot. I mean, not to this degree and not to this much backlash from the community, but yeah, this kind of thing does happen. I mean, just look at DC. Right now in DC, the DC Comics, Superman just died. I mean, the Superman we've had for the past few years, ever since the New 52 Superman stuff, the New 52 comic book reboot happened for the past few years, the Superman we've had is now dead. He literally died on page in plain view. He didn't die off camera, he didn't disappear, he just evaporated into dust and died. And that's a huge news story. That should be something interesting to happen, but no. Because apparently DC's going through this whole other reboot, brand new reboot thing, and they're bringing back the old Superman from the previous reboot, from like the late 90s, early 2000s kind of era Superman, who was previously rebooted out of existence. He simply ceased to be and disappeared. So he's back now with a beard, with his wife Lois, with his kid. Yes, Superman has a kid in the comics. At least he did in the 90s, early 2000 comics, before the big reboot that erased him from existence and restarted everything. So yeah, he's back now. And that's the kind of thing that happens, and that's just what this is. This, at least from the comic book perspective, from Marvel's perspective, that's what this is. It's just a huge publicity stunt, a gimmick to draw in readers, to get people's attention, and then a year or two from now, the whole thing will be forgotten. It'll be rebooted, it'll be retconned. It'll turn out that Captain America was actually being mind controlled by Red Skull, or he was actually a clone and the real Captain America is still an old man retired in Florida sitting by a pond feeding ducks. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with that, it was either last year or the year before, Steve Rogers, the original Captain America, his powers were going, the super soldier serum that was keeping him alive, keeping him young, wore out, and he suddenly aged very rapidly. He turned into an old man. All the years he had lived, all the way from back in World War II all up to now, had all caught up to him, and he was an old man. He couldn't be Captain America anymore, which is why Falcon took over. Falcon was supposed to be the new Captain America. He put on the costume, he has the shield, he's the new Captain America. Steve Rogers retired, he's an old man now, he's not Captain America anymore. But suddenly, here we have a brand new Steve Rogers, young again apparently. I don't know how that happened. Like I said, I haven't been following the comics, but apparently he's young again. He's super soldiered up again. He's Captain America again in a brand new series, a brand new Captain America series, which is the one that just came out last week. Issue 1, and it's revealed that he's a Hydra spy. So the whole "it's actually a clone" thing is a fairly good idea of what's going to happen in a year or two. That is assuming they don't just scrap this entire idea before that with a massive amount of backlash there's been. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that happens. They just reset everything. There's this huge plot twist that Captain America is actually a secret Hydra agent, and he's been a Nazi ever since he was a child, when he was indoctrinated into Hydra when he was a little boy by his mother, or whatever the hell this story is supposed to be. And yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, but in a year from now, they'll just reboot the whole thing again, they'll retcon the whole thing, and it turns out it was actually just a clone of Steve Rogers that was posing as Captain America, or it was time travel shenanigans, or some other ass-pull storyline that they always drag out to retcon all this kind of stuff, and change everything back to the status quo, where Steve Rogers will once again be Captain America. He won't be a Hydra agent. It'll all be a dream sequence or some other bullshit, and everything will be right back to the way it was previously. And that's what usually happens in these comic books. That's what usually happens in these stories. It's been like this forever. I mean, back in the 90s, we had the death of Superman, a massive storyline where Superman had died, killed by Doomsday. And a year later, he was back. A miracle. He wasn't actually dead, because they can't actually keep the real Superman dead. That would be horrible for sales. I mean, how are they supposed to sell Superman comics if Superman is dead? So yeah. In all honesty, I think this was just supposed to be another random grab for attention, another random thing they were just trying to do to drum up conflict, to drum up drama or whatever, just to get people's attention, just to draw people to the comic to read it because they're pissed off, because they're curious. But I don't think they really grasped just how much of a backlash there would be from this, especially with all of the movie fans. Because normally, whenever there's a huge plot twist like this, it's usually just the comic fans that are really adamant or really upset about it. But ever since the Avengers, ever since the Captain America movies, he has become a lot more popular, a lot more well-known, a lot more visible to the general public. So something like this happening will get a lot more attention than it previously would have had in the before the Captain America movies came out, before the Avengers movies came out. I mean, if it was in all honesty, I could have seen them doing something like this to intentionally kind of undermine the character if it had been someone like the Fantastic Four or something like that, because they don't own the movie rights and they're generally trying to kill the franchise for Fantastic Four, actively trying to do that. So I could see them doing that, but not for one of the cash cow characters that they actually own the rights to, which is a key issue here. They actually own the film rights to Captain America, which is how they've had him in the Marvel Comics movie universes in the past few years with the Avengers and stuff. So doing something like this with one of the characters they actually still own, which is very rare. Most of them are gone to Sony or Fox or whatever. So yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with this. Probably just a standard thing to drum up attention, just to drum up sales. But yeah, if the intense hatred and anger over this persists, and if Disney did not have any say in whether or not this actually was going to happen, I guarantee you something will come of it, and it'll be undone sooner than later. Or if not, then at the very least in a year or two, once these current writers are gone, once the current editors are gone, it will just all be retconned away and forgotten about, because it'll just be a clone thing, or a mind control thing, or time travel shenanigans, or all just a dream sequence, or whatever they decide to pull out of their asses to explain this whole thing away and retcon it. So, I've been going around 15 minutes now, complaining about Captain America. Damn it. So, anyway, thanks for watching. This has been another episode of Bobson Rants, and until next time, until next week, I will see you later. Bye.